Good evening, parents. My name is Miss Miller. I teach sixth grade English language arts. Although I am upset by the fact that we can't meet in person for back to school night, I am excited to have made this presentation for you guys so you guys can get to know me, get to know what goes on in my classroom, and I hope that by the end you have a better idea of what's been going on every day. And just like I tell my students, if you ever have any questions, you can always email me. I put my email in this presentation, and I will be happy to talk with you through email, text, phone call, whatever you would like. So let's get started. So, a little bit about myself. I graduated from Ramapo College in 2018. I have a bachelor's degree in literature with a minor in American Studies. So I kind of have the English side and a little bit of history/social studies because I think they're very similar. I did not join an education program while I was at Ramapo. So I'm currently enrolled in the alternate route program through Rutgers, and they are going to help me get through my first year of teaching and give me the skills so that I can be successful in the classroom. I always joke with my students that I'm going to school just like them, and they seem to get a kick out of that. Some expectations that I expect in my virtual classroom. One is to be respectful to myself and the other students. So this in a virtual classroom would be that no one's talking over each other, no one is judging someone by how they're dressed or how their hair looks or where they are in their house. If there's a lot going on, we don't want to ever make comments like that. Just making sure we're all just in a warm environment where everyone can be themselves and nobody feels embarrassed about an answer to a question or anything like that. Participate in class discussions, even if you're afraid of being wrong. So I really encourage all my students to just give it their best attempt. I would never want to make them feel foolish for answering a question a certain way or feel like they can't participate because they're just going to get the answer wrong. I really just want everyone to be coming up with ideas, giving me their opinions so that we can have a great class discussion. Reach out to me for help with an assignment and don't be afraid to ask questions. I tell my classes this every single day. I don't want anyone to feel like they should know something if they're having a hard time with it. I always want them to just be coming to me so that I can help them. I would rather them ask me a million questions and do the assignment correctly than not ask any questions and do it wrong and not get a good grade on it. Try their best. So once again, I'm looking for effort. I'm looking for following directions. I don't want someone just handing in something just to hand it in. I really just want everyone to try their best on anything that I give. Work as a team and help each other out when you can. So sometimes if I'm in the middle of a lesson and a student asks a question in the chat, I tell the other students if they know the answer to just answer it in the chat back, just so I don't miss their question or I'm not stopping what I'm doing. So I really just want everyone to be working together as a team, like a little class family. Attendance. So I do expect students to be on time for class. I try to log in 5 minutes before the scheduled time to give students time to get logged in, get settled, get ready to go. Within the first 10 minutes is when I take attendance, and it's hard to keep track of who's coming and going, with Wi-Fi issues, things like that. So if they log in after that, they're either marked as like tardy or late, or if they log in 3 minutes before class ends, they'd be absent because they just pretty much missed the whole class. If a student knows that they're going to be late, absent, they're going to leave early for like a doctor's appointment, then I need to be notified so that I can make a note so that if they don't show up to class, I'm not just marking them as absent, but rather I'd make a note that they told me ahead of time. If a student misses a full class, I try to give them 2 to 3 days extra to make up the work that they missed. If they are having a hard time understanding the material that's on Google Classroom or just have questions, I expect them to reach out to me so that I can help them just like I helped the students that were in the live class that day. Anything that I do, any lessons I do, any PowerPoints I make, videos, things like that. They're all posted on Google Classroom under our classwork tab. So anything that they need to do the assignment is there. They just have to make sure that they understand it. Procedures. As I said, I log into class 5 minutes earlier so that everyone has, time to get into the class. There's always a do now that students must complete during class to get credit for it. Basically, if they do it on time and it's fully complete, they get 100 for participation. It's a 75 if they maybe didn't follow the directions or give a complete answer, and it's a 50 if they don't do it at all. Students are expected to take notes during my lessons and write down any questions they have in the chat. Again, this is a way to not necessarily interrupt the lesson, but this is a way for me to see that, okay, I need to go over something again. The student needs help, so I know who I need to work with while kids are working on independent assignments. After the lesson, students are given independent assignments to work on during class. If they don't finish it, I just ask that they do it for homework. Like I said, if a student misses a class, they get a couple extra days to make it up. And cameras, I don't require them to be on during class. I would like them for them to be on just so that when I do finally meet everyone in person, I know who everyone is and I'm not just staring at a blank screen all day. So this is the grading profile for our virtual world. There's only 4 things that students are being tested on: tests and essays, quizzes and projects, independent work, participation. Participation is worth a little more than it usually is just because that's really all we have during the virtual world. So if a student always answers questions, or they're there to help other students, or they're just doing work on time, that goes a long way, as well as their independent work and any quizzes or projects that I give. This is what it'll look like in the building when we do go back. So as you see, there's a little bit more to it. They get graded on a lot more participation. It's part of all these things, but really in the virtual world, participation is key. Instructional block, these are some of the things that we use. We have our collection series, that's like our main stories that we read. We have our close reader, that's our supplementary readings, and everything that the students need. Like I said, every time we read a story, I post that individual story into Google Classroom just so that they can go back to it whenever they need to. I try to put students in groups as much as possible, but online it's kind of hard because I have to make separate rooms and then I hear everyone talking at once. But I do try to do it. I've already done it once. The students seem to enjoy it, so I definitely am seeing myself doing it more in the future. And then we have iReady. This is just a digital intervention program for students to be working on things at home just to keep their minds flowing and getting some work done. Some key standards for ELA. That is the website for all the standards that we will be doing this year. In my lesson plans, I have to write what standards I am focusing on. Some key focuses in ELA is citing text evidence, determining the meanings of words, and comparing elements of multiple related texts. So since we're reading a lot of different kinds of text this year, it's definitely important for students to know how to cite things from the stories and how to kind of play with words and determine what the meaning is and be able to compare them to the other stories. My virtual office hours are from 2:15 to 2:51. I will go later if students really have questions and they really need help. What I do is in our Google Classroom stream, I post a new Google Meet link that's different from our usual class one because it's for all my classes. So all 3 of my classes, anyone that needs help, they go to one Google Meet and they have a chance to ask like individual questions. If they want to stay in the meet while they're working on their stuff and I'm helping other students, they can do that. But it's really just a time for them to get, the directions on the assignment if they're unclear. If they want me to look at some of their work and see how they're doing so far, I can do that. If they think of any questions that they didn't think of in class, just things like that. If it's before or after office hours, they can always reach out to me through Google Classroom, and I try to get back to everyone as soon as I can. Contact info, that is my email Miller at irvington.k12.newjersey, nj.us. I try to be available from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. My first class starts at 8:30, so I try to give that extra half an hour for anyone that needs help right away. And I would be available later for emergency cases if something was really wrong or you needed to talk to me about your student or child. But like I said, I'm in a night class. I have that going on. I have this, my first year. I'm just trying to get situated. So I do my best to be as available as possible, but sometimes that's hard. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got to learn a little bit about me. I can't wait to progress in the year, keep getting to know my students, and I hope that I can get to know you guys as well. So if you have any questions, reach out to me through that email or a Google Classroom. You can post a private comment or question through your child's, Google Classroom account, and I will do my best to answer them. If you prefer to talk on the phone, we can set that up. If you prefer to meet virtually through Google Meet, we can do that as well. So I hope that we can get to know each other and have a great and successful year. Hope everyone has a great night.